Am I sexually harassing my GF? Am I sexually harassing my GF? So I, 28M, have been with my GF, 26F, for just over 2 years. The relationship started out long distance, and whenever we would visit each other we would naturally go into honeymoon phase and frisk like rabbits. Once we moved in with each other the sex toned down a lot, which is natural and understandable. The problem I'm facing now that it is pretty non-existent unless I initiate. And it goes a little beyond that. I will try to initiate once or twice a week in bed, trying to respect her space and not make a move if it's a late night or she has to get up extra early for work. The times she does accept the move, she usually says fine, if you really need it tonight or something to THT extend. The issue has moved into our everyday life now, where if I jokingly slap her butt or compliment her looks with a simple dang you look really good today, she just comes back with you're just saying that because you're horny, stop it. I'm not sure what to do, or how to be sensitive around this subject. I think she perceives me as someone who wants sex 24/7 when I really don't. I think it is important for our relationship, but I'm not asking for it daily. I just want to make sure we get to the point where we aren't going without for months. Too long didn't read. My GF turns down every advance I make, even compliments saying I am just horny and need to stop. Edit. I want to clarify something that I'm getting a lot of backlash for in the comments. I don't slap her butt constantly. It's just something we have been doing since the beginning of our relationship, and she even started it regularly. I will maybe do it a few times a week, where she slaps my butt easily 5 to 10 times a day. I will try stopping altogether, but I feel like she is okay with it as it's just something we do occasionally walking by each other. The times she does accept the move, she usually says fine, if you really need it tonight or something to THT extend. And that is where you made your mistake. She didn't have sex because she wanted to, she did it for you. What is something you don't want but do anyway because you feel it has to be done? Chore. And once you start seeing something as a chore or a job, finding it fun becomes a lot harder. It's why a lot of people give the advice to never turn your hobby into your job. For example, the fact that you then also went along with it and had sex with her probably also didn't make her feel like you care a lot about what she wants. Oh, and butt slapping is also not really romantic. So really, the first thing you need to do is stop having sex with her until she enthusiastically agrees to it or initiates herself. It's also usually a good idea to have an evening full of cuddles and romance but without sex, making that clear in the beginning so that she doesn't think you just want to get into her pants, so that she comes to associate your touch with non-sexual affection again. But yeah, it sounds like it might be time for couples counseling. You've not harassed her, but it honestly sounds like you lowered her desire for sex by having sex with her when she wasn't into it considerably. Do you only act affectionate when you want sex? Talk to her is deaf. The solution: be prepared to change something, cause what you're doing is pushing her away. This was my thought exactly. My ex did this and it got to the point where I didn't even want him to touch me because it just meant he wanted sex if he did. I understand that always feeling rejected is frustrating and doesn't make you feel great about yourself/the relationship. I wouldn't suggest slapping her butt and things like that since she doesn't seem to like it. When I was with my ex and my desire for sex was dwindling, it bothered me when he touched me sexually like that when I was just going about my day. Do you do other things that make her feel good about herself, comfortable, etc., that could help put her in a mindset where she'd be more open to sex? If you don't, aside from when you're about to proposition her, she's going to associate any touch with you just trying to get something you want. In hindsight, I think an issue in my relationship was that my ex didn't go out of his way to make me feel good or be flirtatious. He'd just roll over and say, "Can we have sex?" and it didn't make me feel sexy at all. You two need to sit down and have a conversation about this at a time when it isn't connected to you trying to have sex. What is going on with our sex life is a perfectly reasonable question that you should be able to ask, and then listen to her response. It's normal for the intensity of your sexual connection to ebb and flow at various times, and that shouldn't necessarily provoke a crisis, but you need to be able to talk about your needs and where she is. And if you can't have productive conversations about what's going on, you should consider couples therapy. Beyond that, it would be irresponsible of us to jump to conclusions. It sounds like a very old trap that couples fall into. The primary source of intimacy, romance, and connection has become sex. You want the sex because you want that closeness. She wants all the other kinds of closeness too, but snuggles turn into sex, which makes her not want the sex. Imagine if the only meal your partner made for you was spaghetti. That they were always tossing noodles at you, and chasing you around with jars of pasta sauce. How long would it take before you got so tired of spaghetti that you just started avoiding dinner altogether? How long before the thought of meatballs made you want to vomit? A relationship is a buffet, dude. Women want sex after feeling that connection, intimacy and closeness. For men it's the other way around. You feel the closeness after the sex. You need to build a healthy cycle. Closeness, connection, intimacy, then sex, then more closeness, etc. You're trying to start with the sex. She wants the other stuff first. Yes, this, don't just throw your junk at her and call her hot and smack her ass. Start by being romantic. Don't even think about sex, think about love and cuddle and kiss and feel her body, but avoid her ass/boobs till she's begging for them to be touched. How to tell my 29M parents their comments about my relationship/sex life is making me uncomfortable. Long story short, I'm 29 years old and currently working remotely while living with my parents. My family has been really pressuring me to start Zoom dating, but in all honesty, I don't feel ready to date. Basically, I never dated my entire life because I'm autistic and I struggle in social settings. While I've gotten better, I'm still holding off on relationships because I feel immature and I don't have much to offer. My mom has become more frustrated with me because my younger brother is in a relationship that's really healthy, and during a wedding she was asking me when I will ultimately find someone. My dad has been making uncomfortable remarks about my life as well. One of my goals in the future was to teach English to kids abroad someday, but he made comments about me only wanting to have sex with women while abroad. Basically, I'm kind of at my wit's end with them because they don't respect boundaries and always put my goals down. Too long didn't read. How do I talk to my parents about their comments about my relationship/sex life and why I feel uncomfortable? Sorry, I made an error in my title post there. It's a pretty old school idea to need to get married to be fulfilled. I assume that's where your mom comes from. Your dad's comment about sex is very weird. I'd ask him why he thinks you're more worried about sex than actually teaching and making a positive impact. Not everyone's goals in life are to get married and have kids. Your parents should respect that. Try to explain what your goals are. If you are interested in dating someday, explain that it's not a priority for you now, or maybe you don't care to at all. Explain that you have personal goals that are more important to you than finding someone to settle down with, that your personal growth does not depend on finding a partner. Just because your brother has found someone else to be happy with does not mean you need someone else to be happy. If you don't care about dating, neither should they. Tell them to stop speaking about your relationship status/sex life after your discussion with them, because you will not answer them if they do. Literally ignore them if they make a comment until they get the point. Make it clear that their comments are unwelcome and you have no interest in entertaining them. Wish you good luck getting out and teaching English abroad. I don't know what your dynamics with your parents are like, but I have started just stating, calmly and firmly, when possible, something like, look, I really don't feel like talking about my sex life with my family. Please don't. Followed up with, okay, I gotta go, talk to you later if they press on. It's odd to recommend a book, but I really like the book called The Gentle Art of Verbal Self-Defense. It might come in handy to be able to break down a verbal attack and have some strategies for responding. In your post you say that you have autism. The book does have some tongue-in-cheek humor, which might be a bit confusing, and it's a bit dated, but I think it's still very good. Teaches you to identify the presumption of the attack and to ignore the bait and address the presumption. Ask them to afford you the privacy and respect that a 29-year-old young man should have every right to expect. I think you are being very responsible in waiting on a relationship if you do not feel ready. Tell them you are listening to your own instincts on this and that you would appreciate if they respect that. Good luck. You sound like a great guy. Your father is so beyond out of line. Unfortunately, the only real solution is to move out. F29, my partner, M32, criticizes the things I like and gets upset at me for taking it personally. TL Doctor, my boyfriend constantly trashes anything he doesn't like. I've asked him to stop and told him it upsets me. He says I'm too sensitive and that no one else gets upset, so why should I be upset? Edit, sidebar, he definitely has emotional issues like PTSD and bipolar with mania emphasis. I definitely also have major depression and generalized anxiety and panic disorder, but one of us is medicated and it's me. My partner has a dark sense of humor and finds it fun to roast the things that his friends like that he thinks are dumb or bad. He'll get on this little tirade whenever he is around something he doesn't like. For example, music. If it's not his music, he'll just complain until it changes. Will call anything he doesn't like trash, poison, dumpster fire, etc. It doesn't seem to bother his friends, but it makes me not want to share things with him because I feel like I'll just get shit on for liking something he doesn't like. And I get kind of embarrassed when he starts complaining. I've asked him to stop and he says I'm being too sensitive and no one else gets upset. And he says his friends do it to him and I don't get upset at them, so it's a double standard and he can't abide that. He uses examples of things I've shown him that he does like as a way to say that he doesn't shit on everything that I show him. But really the problem is that if he doesn't like something, he will trash it really loudly until it stops. And it's really exhausting for me. I feel like I'm not being heard when I tell him that it's exhausting for me. We got in a fight about it recently and I left and went home and he said I was very disrespectful for leaving without saying anything to him. It was not the most mature thing to do, but I wasn't in a space where I could have a conversation about it calmly. How do I get him to understand that when he excessively criticizes things that I like, that it feels like he's criticizing me for having bad taste? It's okay to like different things, but I don't feel like it's okay for him to constantly tell me how shitty the things I like are. He says if I like something, why should it matter how he feels about it? I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm being unreasonable or if I'm just communicating badly. Your BF is a 32 years / trying to behave like an edgy teen. There was a time where we thought being an ass might make us look cool, but most people outgrow this phase relatively quickly because you realize nobody likes an ass. I don't think he can change at this point because it seems the behavior is now part of him. Nah, just end it. He's a jerk. You're not being unreasonable. You've explained nicely how you want to be treated and he has declined. Since his friends enjoy this treatment, he can date one of them instead. Imagine what it would feel like to date someone who encourages your interests instead of shitting on them all the time. You need to go find that person, and leave this one behind. How do I get him to understand that when he excessively criticizes things that I like, that it feels like he's criticizing me for having bad taste? You've done all you can for this. You've told him what he's doing and how is hurtful to you. He's already told you he doesn't care. It won't change. It won't improve. You've got to make your decision from there. He doesn't have dark sense of humor, he's an asshole. You told him this behavior bothers you, and he doesn't care. Expect this behavior from a 14-year-old, not someone in their 30s.